You're probably right now at a crossing road in your life and you want to or you have to make a decision. And you're hesitating though, because deciding means to decide something. You cut something off and that's painful and you hesitate. And the beautiful thing of not making a decision is that you have the freedom still. You can still pick all the options, but you know it's time to make a decision. Here in this video, I want to share with you 4 very different ways and tools to make a decision. Some of them are very thinking oriented, some of them are more intuitive and feeling oriented. Maybe you just pick one option, maybe you try all of them, because it just helps you and helps you to nourish this process of making a decision. And the first tool I want to share with you is a very practical and very thinking oriented tool. I prepared a little PowerPoint here. You just write down, first of all, the options that you're having. Here's an example, and you have the question where you want to move to: Paris, Berlin, or Cape Town. Then you think about all the factors that are important to you. And there may be many more. I just keep it simple here and I just wrote down 3. For example, the language, how well you speak the language in the country, the safety, because you're planning on having some kids, and the friends you're having there already. And then you think about how important those factors are for you from a scale from 1 to 10. So maybe language you say, well, is fairly important, like a 7 out of 10. I mean, I can work remotely, so it's not the most important, but I think it's important for me generally to know the language already. Safety also very important based on the fact that I get some kids soon. And friends, though, is most important because that's my happiness. Home is where my heart is, and my heart are my friends, as an example. And now you just rate all the options. So for example, you think about, if I move to Paris, how well do I speak the language? From a scale from 1 to 10. Well, I think it's a 5. I had French in high school, I think I can relearn it quickly, but at this point it's not so well. Berlin would be perfect because I am German. Cape Town would be also great because everybody speaks English and I'm pretty good at speaking English. And then you go through all the options. Safety, for example, you say, well, I think Paris is kind of similar to Berlin, but Cape Town is maybe not the most safest. I give it a 4 out of 10. And you do it with the friends part as well. And now the math kicks in. Now you multiply this factor here. So for example, 7 times 5 plus 8 times 8 plus 10 times 8. And then you get this number here. This is the final score. And you do this with all the options. And at the end, you have a very clear answer and you notice, oh, apparently I should stay in Berlin based on all the factors here. That's a very tangible and very practical way of making a decision. And already, maybe at the end of making this table, you don't make a decision, but it started, to nurture that thought process. Simply thinking about what are the factors that are important to me, how important are those factors, and then even you coming up with a result and noticing how you feel about that. Is that something I feel hesitant about that? Is there some resistance that I now want to stay in Berlin or not? What is coming up? So again, it's not about making a decision right now today. Maybe it's just about nurturing that thought process, and that's a very nice strategy and very tangible strategy to use. Give it a try. The next method I call chair sitting. That simply means you sit in a room and you pick, maybe you have just 2 options, then you pick 2 chairs, you put them in front of you, you stand in front of them, and you pick each chair for each option. Maybe the left chair is the option for, let's say, staying in Berlin, the right option is for moving to Cape Town. And then you sit on the Berlin chair. And as soon as you sit down, you make the decision. It's like you flip a coin. Sometimes when you can't decide, some people flip a coin, and then you have the result, and it's okay, it's head, let's do it, let's stay in Berlin. So when you sit on the chair, the Berlin chair, it's over. It's done. The decision has been made. You will stay in Berlin, as an example here. And then you listen. What are the thoughts that pop up? What are the feelings that pop up? How do you feel that also maybe even physically? Is it like, do you feel relaxed, more stiff? What's coming up? Maybe you instantly thought like, oh damn, but I want to make an adventure. Or Marco, again, it's you being afraid of adventure, just rotting in Germany, growing up here and staying here. Damn, like what is coming up? How do you feel about this? Do you feel excited? Do you feel tired? Do you feel bored? Do you feel annoyed? Notice that. And the core thing here is that you pretend that you made a decision. And then you stand up again and then you sit on the Cape Town or the other option chair. And as soon as you sit down, again, decision has been made, I move, I do this. What comes up here? And probably all the option chairs that you have, when you sit on them, there's never a 100% hell yes, because otherwise you would have made the decision already. There's always an yeah, on the one hand yes, on the one hand no. But again, just discovering that maybe helps you to make a decision. By the way, this naturally happens already when you do the previous exercise with the table, because you suddenly have a result that's very clear, and then you instantly think, oh no, but I don't want to do this. And then again, interesting, why? Okay, so that's more an intuitive approach, the chair sitting approach. There's also another one, the third one, which is called the inner team visualization. I just want to quickly run through it. I don't want to really make this visualization with here. I just want to quickly explain it. So basically, you can also turn on some chilled music, you close your eyes, and you imagine that you're somewhere in the middle of the nature, and there's some nice meeting table. And at this meeting table, there are actually 4 more other people sitting or standing there. And those 4 people are actually you yourself, just in a different age. So maybe there's the 7-year-old Marco. Maybe there's the 30-year-old Marco, and the 50-year-old Marco, and the 70-year-old Marco. Imagine you're sitting there at this meeting table, and you bring your question to the table, and you ask each of them, in their age, what do they think about that decision? What's their advice? And usually, you will be able to pop up with different answers, and everybody has something different to say, and that's very interesting. And basically here, the idea is that you don't need an external person telling you what to do. You don't need advice from somebody else. You know that already yourself, and you yourself can take different perspectives if you simply ask yourself in different ages. Maybe the 7-year-old Marco would say, but Marco, you only live once, like you always wanted to live that adventure. Go give it a try, you can always come back. And then maybe the 70-year-old person is saying something totally different. But again, it widens your perspective. By the way, there's even a study done where they picked children in primary school, and they had to do math tasks. And as soon as the students struggled to finish a math task, they asked, hey, who's the smartest in your class in math? And then they would think and maybe say, oh, it's John. Okay, what do you think how John would solve that task? And simply this question made people perform better in those math exercises. So again, it just helps you to switch the perspective. That's why the inner team visualization can help here as well. And lastly, the last tool I love to use, I do this actually quite often, at least once a year, I call it to hold a circle of trust. A circle of trust means that you invite a couple of friends and you basically have a mastermind which is about you and yourself. So you share your thoughts, you share your struggle, you share the decision that you have to make soon, and everybody else is adding their thoughts. Maybe they just share a YouTube channel or a video, or they share a contact where they say, hey, I know that guy, you should call with him and ask him about that, maybe he knows more. Or they just give you a brutal opinion, brutal advice, or they simply ask a couple of questions. But you hold this circle of trust and invite people you really trust and trust them that they are very honest, and you just ask them about anything they can share and has to offer. You could also just invite them and everybody has like 30 minutes and you just hop around and everybody gets some advice and tips and insights and sources. But that can be also, again, another tool that sharpens the process of making a decision. All right, so we got those 4 options: decision making with a decision table, chair sitting, the inner team visualization, and holding a circle of trust. I hope some of them will be helpful for you. Let me know in the comments below how helpful it was, which one is most helpful, and what did it do for you. And I hope you make a decision soon and move on and be clear about that and focus on the next adventure. And I wish you a beautiful ride.